How does one topple the tribal chief, take the titles, terminate the tenure of Roman Reigns? Acknowledge us at Cultaholic. We have 9 possible ways to find out. It's 9 pitches for Roman Reigns' WWE Undisputed Universal title defeat. Tom Campbell in the host seat for an absent Jack the Jobber, but joined with 9 pitches regulars. The minds behind the madness, Andrew Hodkinson to my left.
Hello.
Hello. And to my very left, Ross Tweddell.
Guten Tag.
I like the German there as well.
Mercy.
Did we think we'd be sat here just a week or so after WrestleMania going, how'd you get the belt off Roman?
No, because it should have happened last week, shouldn't it, Tom?
Should have happened.
Shouldn't it, Andy?
Yeah.
Give him what for, Andy?
Give him what for. It felt like the right time. And there's been so many times when we've been like trusting the process, hasn't there? But now it's like, oh, I don't know where he could go.
We can still trust the process.
We can. That's true.
Still trust the process because he can do the redemption arc. He can get spat on by Brock Lesnar and then work his way back up. I'm fine with that.
That's a match I want to see.
Just whether if they keep the crescendo, because it was there, the crescendo. Yeah. Hopefully the story doesn't go on too long.
They decided to crochet and didn't. We can trust the process, but today we've decided in 9 different ways to take the process into our own hands. And remember, when it comes to 9 pitches, it's not what we think will happen.
It's what we want to happen. Adrenaline
in your soul. Let us start with Ross Tweddell.
It rhymes.
Nearly.
So we're sat here just after Roman Reigns might have told Solo Sikoa and Paul Heyman that he's done with the Usos in real life, because during last week's SmackDown, Jay was set to take on Sami Zayn. Jay thought Jimmy was in the building and would be with him at ringside, but Jimmy wasn't there. Just like Daddy wasn't there for Austin Powers.
I was thinking of that song as you said that.
Jimmy wasn't there.
Change my underwear.
Circumcisions. It's off the rails already. Paul says to Solo on this episode of SmackDown last week that we saw with our own working eyes, you solved the Sami Zayn problem, or you solved the Bloodlines problem, and that's our starting point for my pitch here, because I'm all about that sauce. Because we're asking, what does that mean, Paul? What does that mean? We still don't know, as we're sat here having watched that SmackDown and the Raw after it. What does it mean?
What does it mean?
I don't know.
We don't know.
Let's find out, shall we? Well, in this pitch, Sami Zayn absolutely batters Jey Uso in that match on last week's SmackDown and beats him with ease. The next week on SmackDown, which would be this week's SmackDown, Kevin Owens is in town and he beats Jimmy pretty easily too, with Jey banished from the arena by Roman because of that loss to Sami last week. After a couple of weeks of Roman telling the Usos to stay at home and them ignoring him and turning up to help him, Roman just can't hack the insubordination. He's benefiting from what's happening, but he just can't get past the fact that Jimmy and Jey are not obeying him. By this point in the storyline, obviously we're about 45 whatever days away, Roman has locked it in and he's passed 1,000 days as champion. That's important to remember because it's a milestone and they're important, I've been told, in various
They love
forms.
A milestone. They like to make a nice graphic.
Yeah.
Say 1,000 days.
Out of granite. So then we get to the official termination of the Usos in the Bloodline as we know it, a proper ceremonial occasion where Roman's all like, I appreciate what you've done for me over the last 1,000 days, but after the humiliation you put me through at WrestleMania and the lack of reaction after WrestleMania and the insubordination since shows you're no longer able or allowed to eat at my table. Wise man Solo, you may feast, but Jimmy and Jey, you must head off for the famine, or whatever the appropriate opposite word is.
Famine's on the money.
Famine works,
yeah.
I was just worried if it was too severe, you know. Get out there and famine.
Get out there and famine.
Famine, just like Bob Marley did. The Ula Fallas, I've googled the name of this. It's the little necklaces that the Usos and Roman wear at the ring. The Ula Falla. I'm sorry if that's the wrong name, but Google told me, so I believed it. Are taken away from both Jimmy and Jey, and on this particular weekly edition of a weekly show, we ends with them sulking off, with Roman just looking on in the background as they walk away in the foreground. It's a wonderful masterpiece of cinematography. So the build is on now for SummerSlam. Jimmy and Jey shared a womb. And after being fired from the Bloodline, it's Jey who has an awakening. He bottled shoving it, whatever it is, up Roman's arse on 2 big separate occasions over the past few years, and then got jealous when Sami Zayn had the bollocks to do what he didn't have the bollocks to do. So now with nothing left, Jey is the one, as we would say up here in Newcastle upon Tyne, who is on one. He is on one, and Jimmy is fully supporting him. We get segments from Roman's house where Jimmy and Jay are turning up and doing serious things to Roman's car, his pool. Maybe he steals his daughter, teaches her a lesson to live her life by, a good and valuable lesson, and then returns her within the half hour so he remains a vigilante babyface. It's basically the opposite in tone to what we got from Ray and Dom at Thanksgiving, where everyone laughed instead of going, oh my God, what a terrible thing Dom has done. So the constant attacks, the personal attacks being led by Jay, force Roman's hand. So it's on for SummerSlam. We're running it back, boyos, with Roman and Jay inside. Heck in a sec. Hell in a Cell, everybody. Hell in a Cell 2. Back in the day, we got the very dramatic version of what this match can be, but this time, with all the water under the bridge and everything Jay's done especially, we get an absolutely barbaric ting. There's no colour-coordinated weaponry in sight. None of that whatsoever.
Oh, yeah. Thank goodness.
We love a purple table.
Nah, we
Yeah,
don't.
we do.
Stop it, Andrew. Thanks to an interference from Solo, well, you'll guess what happens, don't you? Roman retains once more. Once again, it looks like everything has come full circle. This 3.5-year arc is coming to its natural conclusion for Jey Uso. Check out my video where I say why he's the main character in this thing over the last little while. It's a great watch, honestly. Thank you very much. But once again, Roman has poo-housed his way out of a very tricky situation. And obviously, Jey uses this as motivation for his promos and his matches over the next few weeks and months. He's calling Roman everything under the sun and keeps mentioning, oh, how once again Romo needs Solo to get the job done. In the meantime, he's building up his wins again, as is Jimmy, who is sort of in the ear of Jay, who's creating a bit of jeopardy there, a bit of suspense, a bit of tension, saying, maybe you've had a few goes now, Jay. Maybe Jimmy Uso can have a go at the title as well. But then Jay's like, nah, all I need is one more. All I need is one more shot. In the build to Survivor Series 2023, which I hope is taking place just after Thanksgiving this year, Jay shows up at Roman's house and takes the titles. He steals them, which of course will be sat on the dinner table. Roman will be at the head of the dinner table. The title's just there. The Ula Fala just there as well. And Jay takes the lot. He steals the lot. And he's like, he takes the piss is what he does. Because that Ula Fala thing, I hope I'm saying the right word there for it. The Ula Fala, I see that as the thing that symbolizes Roman as being the tribal chief. His is a bit bigger than everybody else's, right?
Yeah.
And that's important.
Yours is a bit
symbolic.
bigger than you probably are the next one.
And now Roman is really peed off. He's like, Jay, and then Jay's like, sorry, you want these back? Take me on man. No Jimmy, no Solo, no Paul. Anything goes, but it's just us two. No bollocks allowed. Roman's status at the head of the table means that he means less without his Ula Fala, so he accepts the anything goes stipulation, but says if Jay can't outthink him, he doesn't deserve to be the Uwu. He's not going to ban people from the ringside area. Outthink me, Joseph, he says. Survivor Series is on. It's Jay versus Roman. Anything goes, but Roman tells Solo and Paul to stay in the locker room, and upon seeing this, Jay tells Jimmy to stay back too, but you just know that these two scoundrels have a plan, don't you? You just know this, don't you? Towards an absolutely a barn burner of a match that is the perfect blend of the drama from Hell in a Cell 1 and the brutality in this pitch from Hell in a Cell 2. We get to the point tonight where Roman hits another spear and it looks like it's over. Lights out! Oh my tits! And when they come back on, after a few moments of fighting in the dark, we hear a scuffle while the lights are off. Jay hasn't moved. Roman is now laid out on the mat with blood coming from his face and the petals of his Ula Fala scattered all over him. At the top of the ramp, we see Jimmy Uso and Famiko T. Fatu.
Oh, Toko Uso.
Is that his actual name?
The new one.
I saw his real name, yeah. Yes, he is the brother of Jimmy, of Jay, and of Solo. And brilliant timing this week. He's made headlines because Rikishi was like, look, there's another brother. He's going to be big as well. So he's the one who was aligned with Jimmy and Jay. So then Jay, after the attack by Famiko and Jimmy, drapes the arm across Roman and gets the 3 count. We have a new champion. Michael Cole is obviously screaming, where's Solo? Where's Paul? We cut to a shot of their locker room. The locker room's door's been barricaded. With folk banging the door from the inside. It's simple, but Jay has outsmarted and outfought Roman Reigns to win the big one. 3.5 year arc completed, and Jay is the head of the table with his new faction, which I have geniusly called the Line of Descent, because It's descent, like, lineage, but descent is in, like, whoa, I'm going to say naughty words to you. It's spelt like that one, so it's
Okay.
wordplay.
Babyface vigilantes, you could have called them the good line.
Oh. That just makes me think of the good life.
Yeah.
And Vivian hates the good life.
She does.
Now,
So good, though.
there's loads in there. I love
There is.
that. I love babyface vigilante Jey Uso, who's like
Within
naughty.
the half hour.
Robbing children.
But for only half an hour.
Yeah, sorry.
And they've been taught a valuable lesson.
Yeah.
He'll turn up, smash up the kitchen, and go, "I'll pay for the damage." He's a good guy. Andrew, your thoughts?
I enjoyed it. I like the family aspect in terms of you sort of tying it back to tradition with the Ula Fala and
I
everything
hope
as well.
I've got that one right. It
And-
was at the top of Google results. I was like, what's Roman Reigns got round his neck? Ula Fala.
What's around his neck?
The weight of the company.
And I really enjoy that aspect of it too, and I really enjoy hearing about Jey Uso being the one to tie it all back around. I think it makes sense within storyline. Whether it's for the ooh-woo or whether it is just storyline stuff after Roman drops the ooh-woo. Ooh-woo. I mean, remains to be seen, but obviously for the sake of the picture, throwing the ooh-woo in there, I think it makes absolute sense. Bring in the new Uso as well, and I like it. I like it a lot.
So is it a yes from Andrew?
It's a yeah from me.
Would you be willing to move the Hell in a Cell match to Survivor Series?
Of course I am.
Because I
Of
feel
course.
like No Holds Barred would be ace, but then you build to Hell in a Cell. Like, that shouldn't much be a service station on the road. That should be the final destination.
I'm happy to switch those around.
Then it's a yes from me.
I'm like a bit of clay. Mold.
Mold.
Let's move to the malleable Andrew Hodkinson
Okay.
for pitch number ones.
Pitch
We the
number one.
ones.
So that was another thing. You could have changed the catchphrase, "We the ones." I'm on one.
I'm on one.
I'm on one.
Will that translate? It doesn't matter, does it?
It will do.
Of course it will.
Of course it will.
You'll see the look in his eyes that he's just got off the metro at
Yeah.
a stop he didn't want to get off at. Yeah.
Get off the metro now, Oos.
Okay, so my first one. So WWE Backlash has a glaring Roman Reigns-sized omission. We know he doesn't tend to work the B shows, and why should Backlash be the exception? When heading into the event, it looks as though the focus will be heavily placed upon Brock and Cody, and maybe a six-man tag match involving the Usos and Sikoa versus Sami, Kevin, and Riddle. So the following Raw after Backlash, let's say the Bloodline are in high spirits. Jey has led the charge for the faction, with Roman closely observing his actions of his family from home. The Tribal Chief's right-hand man, perhaps even scoring his teammates the victory at Backlash to keep the story ticking over between he and Reigns. Got to wet the old mouth there.
Is that what Roman says?
Yeah, got to wet the old mouth there.
Gonna wet the old mouth, Oos.
This win brings with it a rare Roman Reigns Raw TV appearance, with the UU champion congratulating his cousin on stepping up to the plate to address the Bloodline's problems head on. There's nothing to worry about, there's no crumbling, the Bloodline will always remain on top, as long as the WWE and Universal titles are still draped over the shoulders of the Tribal Chief. The thing is, though, the win his family obtained at the pay-per-view isn't the only reason for Reigns' TV appearance on this evening, as we look towards the WWE 2023 draft. Yes! Trips has made it very clear that everyone is eligible for the draft, and this year's iteration will truly change the game. That's what he said. From the horse's mouth, as they say. So, as the evening progresses, we see superstars stay and move between brands. Towards the show's conclusion, we get the final draw of the evening with the Bloodline untouched. We see the threads begin to unravel. Jimmy and Jey are drafted exclusively to SmackDown, whilst the Enforcer solo remains on Raw, until finally, it's time for the champion's future to be decided. Roman remains calm. Granted, yes, the Bloodline may now be somewhat scattered, but no matter where he goes, he'll still be flanked by at least some members of his family. Roman's name is called SmackDown! Roman smirks and embraces the Usos. The OG Bloodline remain together. However, that is until his name is called yet again. Roman Reigns will also be representing the Raw brand. Assuming we continuously cut back and forth between the arena and backstage, to capture the reactions of superstars when they hear the news of their new weekly homes, we suddenly see Roman's face stricken with confusion as he looks towards the graphics displayed on the TV. It must be a mistake, surely. But the graphics then further reveal the fate of the tribal chief. Roman must defend the Universal title exclusively on SmackDown and the WWE title exclusively on Raw. No more shall the titles be defended as one single entity. This could perhaps then act as yet another great swerve within the story of the Bloodline, as after the win they received at Backlash in this pitch, everything could seemingly be getting back on track for the faction. A double swerve, if you will, as we, the wrestling fans, have been waiting for the inevitable crumbling of the Bloodline for some time, only to have us believe they've emerged from Backlash stronger than ever, and then WWE, they pull the rug right out from under us one again. So Roman still gets to hold both titles, as I believe stripping him of one of the titles is a bit underwhelming. And a more interesting narrative to me is seeing Roman get stretched thin with having to now defend his titles on two separate entities, essentially like having to pull double duty in this whole thing. And then you open the possibility for Cody to eventually take the WWE title off Roman down the line for the Raw brand. Obviously, at this point, you got Solo on Raw as well. So that ties everything back to WrestleMania 39, where Solo helped Roman pick up the win. And then you also get to keep the Universal title on Roman if WWE wants to extend his reign past the 1,000-day mark, because that's the one that counts. I believe that is the one that he's held.
The Universal.
For the longest. Yeah, the big one. And then if Jay is on SmackDown as well, you can also come full circle with it, as Ross was saying, doing the full circle, the storyline thing. If WWE did want to pay the storyline off with main event Jey Uso finally being the one to dethrone his abusive cousin. So, I've not gone full in for, how it happens. I've pitched an idea as to how it could happen, and then Roman is getting stretched thin because the titles have been split. You don't take one off him because I feel like it feels like a cheap cop-out to just take a belt away from him. I feel like he wouldn't be the person to let that slide either and let that go down. So for him to be stretched thin, we think he's going off to take a nice old long break after WrestleMania. We think he's not going to be here for the longest time. But again, it's another swerve in that, no, he's got to pull double duty now. He's on both brands. He's got to represent both titles. And he's getting stretched thin. And all the crumbling and this, that, and the other. And jobs are good.
It's a great twist, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. I love the idea of Roman Reigns' difference getting split.
Hello.
Yeah, it is a cop out if you just get stripped of a title. It can't be happening. So that is the way to do it.
Do we foresee so you mentioned Cody there? Do you think Cody may be the main guy?
Yeah,
That's the one his daddy had.
Yeah, for a tiny little while. And then the Universal title, if they do want to tie all the story back together with it being the big one.
Uncle Howdy.
Uncle Howdy.
Just jump off a platform.
Yeah.
It's whoever takes that one off Roman is going to be a huge star. Now it almost feels like if you do split the titles, does the WWE title feel like the lesser one of the two?
I mean, it's got the less stock in it for him.
Yeah.
Because as you say, his 1,000-day reign is about the blue one, not the black one.
But plus also the whole thing there, which I really like about the idea of Roman being worn down. And it kind of gives it like a little metaphorical foot on the rope excuse for Roman to come back again. You could have him defend it against a massive opponent on SmackDown, barely make it through, but knowing he's got to defend the WWE title on Monday, still paggered from that. That's the thing. Well, if I wasn't worth this awful schedule,
I guess that
I'd have been
protects
all
him
right
as well at the same time, doesn't it?
I think
sure.
so. I think it protects him. It's a yes from me.
Oh, it's a yes from me
Thank
too.
you.
Double yes.
boys.
Strong start. My first one takes place a little bit earlier than Mania. Mine's a bit more contextual. It's Money in the Bank 2023. We're in that there London. And the show opens with the men's Money in the Bank, Drew McIntyre winning the briefcase. What a boy.
The big boy.
Main event, it's Roman Reigns versus Gunther for the undisputed WWE Universal title. I genuinely think this is a match. Despite the fact it's two heels, I think you could put that on last.
Of course you
People
could.
into
Yeah,
it.
Batter each other.
Hoss fight. David Hasselhoff.
David Hasselhoff, everybody.
Proves
coming.
to be Roman's biggest test. Every trick in the book. Heyman's distractions, Usos running in, all rendered moot by Imperium and Gunther's big hands. 6 spears back to back puts Roman on top of Gunther for 3, though. Roman barely survives. Usos and Imperium break out into a brawl post-match because post-match, Roman gets handed a further beating by Gunther. Gunther's back up after 6 spears and carries on just clattering Roman. Usos are in, Imperium are in, brawl everywhere. Refs get in, try and stop the fight. They get walloped away. And eventually wrestlers are sent down. Go sort this out, clear the ring. Just bodies everywhere. And it's just an all-out war between wrestlers who were fighting earlier in the night and all that stuff. Fights start to spill outside the ring. Roman remains in the ring. But he ain't on his own because the crowd suddenly realise everyone's left the ring except Roman and Drew McIntyre. Just staring at the back of Roman Reigns. It's all in the reveal here. As Drew's music isn't playing, he's just suddenly stood there. I think he did something similar with The Undertaker where he was just like stood behind him growling. And then Roman turns around and Drew unloads a Claymore, hands over the briefcase, cracks another 3, makes the cover. We're in the UK. Drew McIntyre takes the Undisputed titles from Roman Reigns at Money in the Bank. Whopper of a reaction.
Wow.
I know a lot of people think that Finish the Story is Cody and Roman, but bear in mind that Drew and Cody have history as well.
do?
Have l'histoire. and I think I mentioned this in a previous pitch as well, so I'm going to throw it in again. I like the idea of a slow burn heel turn, Madness of King George-esque turn for Drew. Where he just suddenly becomes more angry and paranoid like a wild king and starts turning on and attacking everybody. And it's Cody, his former tag partner, that tries to make him see sense and eventually says, I have to suck the poison out of my mate Drew and to take the titles from him like the Lord of the Rings Precious.
I'll take your word for it.
Take my word for it. That's my pitch.
I tell you what, up until you said the bit after Drew won the title, I was like, it's a no from me. I'm like, he's just doing it because of the man who's
pop.
from close to London being in London.
Close enough.
But then the stuff after makes total sense, and that brought me around, so it's a yes from me.
Oh, come on.
That's the thing that did it for me as well. You explained why this would be an interesting idea for sure, and so it's a yes from me. I like the idea of as well, sort of Drew turning, but then also at the same time, being like, well, I'm owed this anyway because I held the company on my shoulders through the pandemic era, and where's my thanks, where's my flowers kind of thing.
Yeah, that's it.
I enjoy that. Yeah, that's cool.
Nice.
That's really cool.
Thank you very much. 3 yeses. What a polite day at the office.
No pressure.
Round 2. Ross, over to you.
So we're kicking this one off. Money in the Bank. This is Roman Reigns taking on Sheamus. Packed. SummerSlam. Jey Uso. Stacked. A Saudi Arabia show that might have not happened during this period of time. Randy Orton. Packed. Survivor Series. Jimmy Uso. Stacked. Day 1 pay-per-view. Seth Rollins. Packed. Royal Rumble. Roman's so confident by this point he doesn't even care who's challenging. He issues an open challenge. Nobody can beat me. I'm the king of the castle. Wah, wah, wee, wah. I'm nobody's bitch. If you submit.
Oh, no.
The open challenge is answered by The Rock, but that doesn't matter. He's been stacked. Roman wins again. Elimination Chamber. Sami Zayn again. Packed. It's been the same old bloodline bollocks this entire time, by the way. He's using Solo. He's keeping Jimmy and Jay on their toes. Yes, he's fighting them, but he's also using them. He's a manipulator. He's an abuser. He's a terrible tribal chief. I think this repetition will make this eventual pitch all the more monumental when we reach its conclusion. WrestleMania 40. Roman Reigns takes on the winner of the 2024 Men's Royal Rumble match, the reigning, defending, Intercontinental Champion Ring General, Gunther.
Come on!
Gunther wins the Woo and becomes double champ. And then he put the microphone in my mouth. Becomes a double champion with a display not too dissimilar from this year's IC Triple Threat match. Following the match, Gunther relinquishes the IC title because the match is sacred and the belt is sacred too. He says it's a shame nobody can beat him for it, but it can't be playing second fiddle to any title, even the Uwu, and he's just ended Roman Reigns' reign at 1,314 days. He has to did the maths.
Whoa! You had me ready for and then the Usos turn, and they were just gonna beat him.
He could be heel, he could be baby. I reckon he could be babyface by this point, just naturally by battering folk. Yep. I'm all on board Gunther, staying undefeated until he loses the Uwu.
Yeah.
Andrew, Gunther, and to take the belt from Roman. Your thoughts?
Well, Spoilers for my second pitch there.
Oh.
So I'm going to have to give it a yes
This
anyway.
keeps happening.
It does keep happening.
I never confirmed.
We don't, because we like the surprise, don't we? But no, fantastic. It's a shame, perhaps, that maybe no one takes the belt off Gunter to then make another star in the IC in the mid card title picture. But I feel like it would also make sense for a character like Gunter to do such a thing at the same time too.
Yeah, because I didn't want to have Gunter win the big one and then have to lose pretty soon after.
Yeah.
Lose one of the titles.
Yeah.
That was me way out. I copped out.
No. I think you thought round it quite well there.
I disagree with you both. I think Gunter is the kind of man that would go, Matt is sacred. No one's beat me for this. Keeping it.
Oh.
Keep it till you do. I'm having this belt here, that belt there. That's a great image for Gunter.
That would be pretty good.
I'm just going to have them until someone beats me, then you can have them. Maybe you can do some shenanigans down the line where they say, you haven't defended it in 30 days, so give it here. But I like it. You know what? It's a lovely, simple pitch. It kind of rounds out Roman's year.
Yeah.
And ends it with making a star, which is the whole purpose of this long title reign, is to make a star.
Yeah.
And Gunter certainly feels like that guy that could be the star. So it's a yeah from me as well.
Yes, boy. There's even we've got similar things in where I've done a little bit of a timeline as well for certain things.
Because
Bloody
you'll say
hell.
stacked, jacked,
It does.
packed, back, sack and crack.
I was
Maybe
trying
it
to remember
does.
the catchphrase he was using when he
Pack
wrestled in
and
his
stack.
30s. Was it
Pack 'em and stack 'em,
Pack 'em
right?
and stack 'em,
yeah.
pin
Yeah.
'em.
Yeah. Oh, yes, pack and stack and pin.
Ah,
Forgot
yes,
about me
the
pins.
old-
I was
the
just
old
packing and
pack-
stacking.
The old pack and stack and pin.
Doing the old pancake.
Right, it's like you work for Tesco Whoosh.
Are we ready? Well, in a similar vein here. So I'm sort of extending the universe of my last pitch to accommodate for this one. So the titles have been split. He's defending one on one brand and the other on another brand. And we're going to focus on the SmackDown roster as well. So I believe if this universe splits the Undisputed WWE Universal Championship into two separate top titles, it's only fair that the tag titles follow the same path too. So at SummerSlam this year, we see a few major happenings take place. Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens... Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens enter a SmackDown tag team turmoil match to defend their straps against the Usos, Ricochet and Braun Strowman, and Ludwig Kaiser and Giovanni Vinci of Imperium. Kaiser and Vinci actually managed to pick up the pinfall on Sami and Kevin after a hard fought back and forth, but the Usos enter the fray next to steal the victory in devious fashion and the titles from the grasp of Imperium, though they don't get to keep them. No, they don't. Gunther also finally loses his IC championship to Sheamus in another 75-star classic. And Roman Reigns' grasp on the WWE championship finally loosens as Cody Rhodes picks up the title. Dusty never could, but he did sort of, but he couldn't, by defeating the Tribal Chief. So the following SmackDown sees the Bloodline take to the ring to discuss the matters that went down at the biggest party of the summer. Roman sees all the doubt on the internet, all the doubt buzzing around the locker room, talks of his monumental reign all coming to an end, talks of the Bloodline crumbling, but the truth of the matter is they've never been stronger. They smashed the Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn problem for good, and the title that kicked this all off is still firmly in the Tribal Chief's hands. This is the title, my title, and those days are just going to keep ticking over since there's no one in the back that could ever live up to carrying this amount of prestige around their waist. And that's when the arena is suddenly engulfed in a wide light as Gunther, Kaiser, and Vinci appear to confront the Bloodline. Gunther scoffs at Reigns' claims of prestige, reminding the Tribal Chief that the only two reasons he still holds that title are standing right beside him, and the only reason the Usos are holding the titles are because of the two people standing beside the ring general. You talk about prestige. Gunther reminds Roman that he was the one to make the IC title mean something again. He was the one who had the longest reign in recent WWE history until Roman surpassed that at the beginning of the year. The United Kingdom Championship is a thing, okay, everybody? Please don't forget that. But that's
Hashtag never forget.
But that's just the difference. Gunther commands respect for his hard work, whereas Roman demands respect. And even then, Gunther looks towards Jey You can't even obtain that right. Oh. Gunther says to Roman, you truly want people to acknowledge you. You want to go down in the annals of history. Beat me. Prove to me and the people in attendance and yourself that you're truly worthy of this prestige you talk about. Roman just simply tells Gunther no. You got to get to the back of the line just like everybody else. And so, because he lives to protect the integrity of this great sport of professional wrestling, that's exactly what happens. Gunther goes to the back of the line and works his way up. So, following SummerSlam, I believe the rough pay-per-view schedule will perhaps, we might have a crown jewel in there somewhere in November, then Survivor Series, followed by the Rumble, and then finally WrestleMania 40. So as a brief timeline, I see Kaiser and Vinci defeating the Usos to win their first main roster tag titles at Crown Jewel. We get a War Games match after that at Survivor Series between the Bloodline and Imperium, with Ilya Dragunov joining the latter's ranks to even the team numbers. However, unfortunately, they lose out to put Reigns' faction in front, and then you've got Imperium on the back foot a little bit there. Gunther goes on to win the Royal Rumble, perhaps going head-to-head with Lesnar as the final participants in the match, so we still get a little bit of that going on. And then Roman has no choice but to truly pay attention to Gunther. It's now undeniable that the Ring General has earned his place in the main event of WrestleMania 14. Then he clatters him, batters him, he's got that belt. Good lad, keep it forever.
I like it. Ross, what are your thoughts?
Honourable Gunther.
Yeah, because I feel like he is I think Tom was saying, or you were saying, he's sort of slowly coming around to being this babyface anyway, because people just love him in the ring. People love his matches. And I think he's even spoke before about maybe becoming a babyface at some point. And I think naturally that will happen. Imperium could naturally turn into babyfaces just from putting on like solid matches over and over again. And just, the whole thing about Gunther and the mat being sacred and him wanting to prove that he is the one to finally topple Roman Reigns could be a nice little narrative to tell.
And I like the way you've set up at the Rumble Gunther's first challenger. You can't just have the little bit with Lesnar.
No,
in the Rumble. They can hark back to that when he's the first challenger as well.
Leads back into
and
that.
They can slap all that meat.
Yes, bye-bye.
Ugh.
So we go to yes, Ross?
Oh, it's a lovely yes. It is.
Yeah. The only thing I would possibly tweak is, again, you two have this lovely image of Gunther that I don't have, where you're saying he'll hand over the belt. You're saying he'll go to the back of the line. I've been beating people for years, mate. I'm not going anywhere. I tell you what, I'll win the Rumble. And then you'll see me.
Okay.
Then you'll acknowledge-ish.
Yeah.
But that's the only tweak I'd have. I love Imperium and the Bloodline as rivals. It feels very natural. It feels like you get some banging matches out of it as well. And then, of course, Gunther in the main event. I think undeniable as a champion.
Yeah, definitely.
Which is great. Yes from me as well,
Thank you.
sir. All yeses all round. Okay. This one doesn't contain Gunther.
Oh.
He makes a cameo.
Hey!
Makes a cameo. Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins co-win the 2024 Royal Rumble. I tell you what, you will see some little flicks of storylines from the past throughout this one, and sometimes from other promotions. If you get them all, gold star. So Cody and Seth, co-winners of the Royal Rumble. They have a match at Elimination Chamber to determine who will face Roman at Mania. But the Bloodline, at the behest of Roman Reigns, attack both men. The match is thrown out after about 25 minutes. Next night on Raw, the decision is made that WrestleMania will be Roman Reigns versus Cody Rhodes versus Seth Rollins. Main event of Mania 40. However, Paul Heyman brokers a deal. He wants to make the biggest main event in Raw history and have the WrestleMania triple threat 2 weeks before. If Roman wins, the Mania match is cancelled. He gets a night off. All parties agree, but it's a setup. Both Seth and Cody are attacked by the Bloodline brutally before the bell sounds. Roman gets in the ring, stacks them, pins them. And then the assault continues post-match. Roman Reigns thinks he's done it. That's me having a night off for Mania. I'll go watch the Mario movie. Adam Pearce announces that the triple threat will not happen at WrestleMania. Instead, Roman will defend his undisputed WWE Universal title on night 1 against Seth Rollins. The winner of that match will face Cody Rhodes on night 2.
Oh.
Now, to make it fair, I say we still tell the little Drew McIntyre story that I had previously about him going mad but without a belt, and we have Cody and Drew have a warm-up match on Mania 1, so that way everybody's potentially had 2 matches.
Yeah.
So it's fair.
Oh, that's good.
Roman defends the Uwu against Seth on night 1 of Mania. War for the ages. Seth weathers the storm until once more flipping Solo Sikoa helps Roman retain the title. Furious. The following night, it's Cody Rhodes' turn. In order to keep everything in check, a special guest enforcer is added to the match that night. And it's only flipping Stone Cold Steve Austin ringside to keep an eye on stuff. And he pays dividends. At one point, the Usos try and stick their oar in, as does Solo Sikoa. Austin gets them sent to the back. At one point, Paul Heyman, with Usos and Solo nowhere near the ring, and Roman facing defeat once again, he attempts a desperation run-in. He bang eats a Stone Cold Stunner.
Oh.
Cheers, mate. Roman Reigns then sees this happening, plants Steve Austin with a spear. 1 for Cody for good measure, but Cody kicks out at 2.5. Roman's done everything to Cody at this point, and he goes, the Usos aren't here, Solo's not here, my wise man's down, Austin's there, this is all, the fix is in, I'm off. He heads up the ramp. As he heads up to the ramp, out from the backstage area from Gorilla comes Seth Rollins, Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn, AJ Styles, and the Good Brothers, and they all stand there and go, nah, mate, that ain't happening. The Usos and Solo walk up behind them. They eat super kicks from the Street Profits. Matt Riddle turns up and gives Solo a boot as well. Roman realizes, can't go that way. Tries to leg it, jumps over the barricade through the crowd. As he tries to leave through one side of the WWE Universe, Braun Strowman, Ricochet, Sheamus, and the Brawling Brutes all walk towards him, blocking his path. Get back in the ring, lad. Enraged, Roman goes back to the ringside area, tries the other way, where Gunter and Imperium are marching towards him. Off you go. He climbs back over the barricade again, finds a third way out, this time near the commentators' table. There's Big E! There's Kofi! There's Xavier Woods! For goodness sake, one more route he can try out of the arena, cut off by Bobby Lashley, the LWO, and Drew McIntyre. Who recognizes, hang on, you're the biggest problem here. All the rest of the circle the ring. Roman has no choice but to get back into the ring. As he does, he's met by a kick, wham, Stone Cold Stunner from Steve Austin. Roman Reigns staggers into the corner. Cue Sami Zayn rolling into the ring. Big old haluva kick to the face of him. Roman staggers into the center of the ring. Drew McIntyre enters the ring, nods to Cody Rhodes. Wham! Claymore to Roman Reigns. The invaders all leave the ringside area. Roman gets back to his feet just to absorb 3 crossroads. And Steve Austin counts the 3 as Cody Rhodes is your new undisputed WWE Universal Champion. All the chickens came home to roost. All those people upset and frustrated left with nothing in their hands. They're Willy Wodgers in their hands by the bloodline. All come back to go, nah, mate, your time's up now. Off you go. That's my pitch number 2.
It's like Sid's back garden. It's the decision here, Tom, is if, or Andrew, we should say, is if we want just a definitive win for Cody or a complete obliteration of the bloodline. What do we want more?
My argument for this is it also adds that cast of doubt, which means that when Roman can potentially come back and go, you see what happened to me last time? Give us a fair fight. And all his matches have been won via dubious shenanigans.
Yeah, that's bastard.
Reaping what you sow,
That's a
mate.
good point, actually.
Turnaround is fair play.
I'm sort of on the fence because I think the visual is amazing, but then at the same
The whole
time,
roster going, no.
yeah, but then, I think, because I was thinking something similar for my WrestleMania pitches, and that everybody that comes out that Roman has done wrong and the Bloodline has done wrong come out to, like, surround the ring so there's nowhere to go. If something like that happened, I might have given it a yes in terms of so then Cody can do it clean. And then he is the biggest star then, right? He's not had any sort of help from people hitting finishes here, there, and everywhere to, like, definitively done. Roman's done. I love the visual so much. I think the visual you've painted there is great. I'm going to give it a 50-50. I'm riding.
Oh,
it's
you're
like a
riding
balance
the
board,
fence.
you know?
As a WCW child, I can see the parallels between this Cody and the Sting that took the title from Hogan. The visual of everyone, all the roster in the ring, because he's taking down the NWO, kind of, in this situation. So I'm going to give it a yeah, because of that.
Oh,
nice.
Up the
That's good.
WCW.
Go on.
Up the WCW.
And Cody loves WCW, doesn't he?
I'll take a yes and a half. Was that a WrestleMania pitch that you did there?
So I was thinking about doing that for a WrestleMania pitch.
I'd accidentally wholesale lifted it.
No,
which
you
wasn't-
didn't at all. Not
I've
in
lifted
the
from, as I
slightest.
say, other WWE and WWF
Yeah.
storylines and at least one indie storyline. So if you know it, gold star.
I enjoyed the visual, Tom. It's 100 out of 100 for visual.
Oh, thank you.
It's fantastic.
Okay, third round. Ross, go, sir.
I was in the middle of writing a pitch where Cody gets smashed by Brock and then loses another match to Brock conclusively where he's meant to win, but he doesn't. And we start this redemption arc. But I got bored because it was a bit too predictable. And I started to think how well dressed Cody Rhodes is. Sparkly shoes, thousands of dollars spent on suits. He's a wonderfully dressed man. And then I had a few cans deep into the night last night, and this is what we got. Cody Rhodes is so down after his second loss to Brock Lesnar that he's cutting a promo where he's saying, it's time for me to go home. It's time for me to leave the WWE. I came back to do one thing, and there's no way that thing is happening now. I just don't have it in me. His fire has gone out. Turn me into glue. I'm a horse. Just after this promo, and not affiliated to WWE in any capacity, Cody and Brandy launch a YouTube channel called On the Roads with Cody and Brandy. And we follow them around the world doing anything but wrestling. Anything but wrestling. After 9 years away from professional wrestling, episode 311 of On the Roads with Cody and Brandy is released, where we see them taking in the sights and sounds and the looks and slays of Paris Fashion Week. We're going back to Cody's well-dressed suits. By this time, the pair of them have done so much traveling and the gorging of so many cuisines the world over that Cody Rhodes, he looks like me. He's let it all go and there's no getting it back.
He got more handsome.
He got
Yeah,
fat.
he did.
He's a fat bastard. He doesn't have to wear spandex anymore, so who cares what he looks like, really? The bloke's living his best non-athlete life. Leave him alone. At one point during 2032's Paris Fashion Week, we hear shush, shush s'il vous plaît, and out comes Paris's current top model, Ortiz. He's jiggling his belly like a bowl full of jelly and titillating the juices of everyone watching both in the room and around the world. As Ortiz nears the end of the runway, he sees former WWE superstar and former colleague Cody Rhodes, and the pair lock eyes. A magnetic field is created in the room. The tension between the pair is so strong, Ortiz begins to suck. Like a bloody Henry Hoover. He wants to experience every sensation, that comes with a moment like this, so he's sucking in hard. In the process of sucking, Cody is sucked up onto the runway. And the entire room stands and claps. The pair recreates the picture of the Maguire twins on their motorcycles. Google that picture if you don't know what I'm talking about. And after the show, Ortiz says, "Hey, Cody, hey, come on, come back to Money Potement." He's a bit French now, is Ortiz. We've got some talking to do, hey, buddy, yep. But he's still Otis at his core. Being the top model in Paris in 2032, of course, Ortiz has a personal chef to make him biscuits all the day long. Ortiz eats them all day long, and of course, because Cody is a fat bastard who is gorgeous on the world's cuisine over the past 9 years, he joins in too. The chef's workload has literally doubled, but the sexy model pair, they have a big plan. They are going to take down Roman Reigns' Universal title reign, which, by the way, broke Bruno Sammartino's record sometime in the year 2028, so about 4 years down the line after that now. LA Knight is retired from the ring as the longest reigning Intercontinental Champion of all time and the winner of the men's 2032 Royal Rumble match. He's back in Maximum Male Models because he's no longer active in the ring. So when spring 2032 rolls around, not even he has the Kavorka he thinks in his old mind to beat Roman Reigns. So his title shot is going to a person of his choosing, and that'll be kept a secret until WrestleMania night itself. LA Knight has all the cards. How will he play them? Let's find out. So he keeps talking to Roman. This is what we get the build to WrestleMania 48. Is promo offs between Roman Reigns and LA Knight of MMM. He keeps talking to Roman about this real mega power, the likes of which professional wrestling has never seen before. This mega power is coming to get him, yeah! You see, because Paris Fashion Week happens in January traditionally. Ortiz and Cody have spent a month now eating biscuits and drinking pop on the sofa. So much so that both men are now unable to leave the sofa, and their fat rolls are now interlocking as they start to create create a superhuman-like structure known to you and I non-wrestling commentating folk as a giant fat man. There is no stopping the men eating the biscuits and drinking the pop. The pressure between the interlocking fat rolls is too much, even for human skin, the most transformative substance on the planet Earth, this side of a Stretch Armstrong. So picture this, right, everybody. The camera for the WWE 24 documentary will be on the floor behind the chef at his own little personal station in Ortiz's appartement. Yes? And it's going to be shooting up from behind the chef. So picture that, right? Chef foreground, his station. Then behind that is the couch where Ortiz and Cody are morphing into one man. Then we hear lots of tearing noises, lots of jiggling noises. Dogs are barking, clown horn noises, any noise you can think of. The camera, where's my third page? Slowly tilts up, and we see this giant superhuman-like structure, known, of course, to you and I as a giant fat man. He starts to unfurl himself, and he stands up like the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man from Ghostbusters. But even bigger. That's what's coming for Roman. The head of Cody, the torso of Ortiz and Cody, the neck tattoo of Cody is somewhere on the upper arm of this thing, because does it have a neck? Does it heck? Stay with me. Stay with me.
That's good.
We're good anyway.
This thing is the thing that's going to go one-on-one in the main event of WrestleMania 48 with Roman Reigns. Its entrance starts with this thing jumping over the Atlantic Ocean like it's a puddle in the street. That's how big it is. It lands in the 500,000-seater SoFi Stadium 3 with a massive bump. Roman takes this Ortiz and Cody man to a great match, but eventually 47 minutes later, after kicking out of 3 spears, Cotis, as it's known, will nail a sick shooting star press for the win. It's an emotional win, so emotional that the tears of Pharaoh the dog in 2032, when he'll be about 1 million dog years old, his tears falling into one of the fatty crevices sees Ortiz and Cody morph back into mere normal men, just innocent men. As they shrink down, Cody gets on his haunches. He's eye to eye with his pup, the still beautiful but really old Pharaoh. He starts singing The Long and Winding Road by William Gareth Gates, and that's how WrestleMania 48 goes off the air. Cody heads up Raw with the WWE title, and then Ortiz takes the Universal title to SmackDown. It was a few cans. It was Star of Pramen, in case you want to know how many juices were titillated there. But it was nice.
I like how for a bit it wasn't about splitting the titles, but merging the challenges.
Yeah, that's the only way Roman Reigns can get me.
Andrew, thoughts and concerns and compliments?
I don't think there's any concerns personally.
No,
I think Ross has done a great job in actually bringing someone into the picture that it seems like we've all it feels like we've all forgot about Otis in this whole entire situation. And I mean, it's debatable whether you need to merge Cody and Ortiz together to be able to beat Roman when you've got just Ortiz on his own.
A good point, Andrew.
You know
Well
what I mean?
made.
Did you think you would say that sentence when you woke up this morning? I don't think we need to merge Cody and Ortiz.
But
It's possible. You sit on that sofa long enough, everything starts to interlock.
if we want to make a statement, though, that's where we've got to head down. Ross, it's delightful. It was an absolute treat. It was like gorging on a feast. The feast that I imagine, biscuits and pop. So
big
yeah.
It's a yes from me. My favourite part was the fact they have their own little chef.
Yeah.
And I want his story. I want the story of the chef that just spends his whole day making biscuits and handing pop to this gelatinous beast.
His name is Gary Biscuits. He's paid very well. He's paid in biscuits that he makes himself.
He makes himself biscuits, and then the Cody Ortiz goes, I love them.
That's how it works.
I can't feed my family now.
Can't even see me feet. There's a lonely family. It's a yes. Oh, of course it's a yes.
I'll get it.
That's got to be on par with
I was nervous about
George
that.
Chips.
I don't know. I just like food, you know. That's chips ticked off, biscuits tipped off.
Nice.
What's next?
What's next?
From now on,
Remains
Ross,
to be seen.
from now on, I think Andrew and I will agree. Every time you do 9 pitches, write the first 2, then have many cans of Star Pramen
Please.
and Red Stripe,
Please.
and then come at the 3rd.
I don't.
Right.
Can't top that now.
Good
can
luck,
we?
Andrew.
We can't top that now.
Good luck,
It-
son.
it pales in comparison.
Does Roman forge a gelatinous
I
creature?
literally wrote as well, this one's rather far out there, and it's not nothing in comparison to what you have just done. Nothing at all.
This is
So-
wildly unbelievable.
Roman Reigns continues his dominance throughout 2023. Headed into 2024, his heat grows to nuclear levels as his family continue to interfere in his matches to ensure the titles remain in the tribal chief's grasp. He beats an extremely over babyface Seth Rollins after they finally run it back following the 2022 Royal Rumble debacle. And when they make us believe that all the family spats are behind them, the tribal chief finally ousts Jey Uso from the bloodline in tremendously brutal fashion. He's got the heat. He's hot. He's like Spain in the summer. Probably. Roman has done it all. He's beaten the best. He's overcome every single credible challenger that WWE has to offer. Even Dwayne's too scared to return because he knows his place at the table. He always knew what the outcome would be from day one. So it doesn't matter who wins the Royal Rumble this year. It's already guaranteed that Reigns has smashed them and sent them packing before. We move forward to the 2024 Royal Rumble match, where the 30th entrant is about to make their way to the ring and join as one of the final 4 competitors. The lights dim before a voice message, seemingly coming from the mouth of one Paul Levesque, can be heard echoing throughout the arena. He says, "You caused quite the stir last year, but it certainly caught our attention. Look, now, things might not have panned out for you here in the past. However, we've seen what you can do, and we've seen how much you've accomplished in such a short period of time. It'd be stupid for us not to bring you on board. So, whatever they're offering you, we'll double it. Give me a call back, and hopefully we'll see you in 2024, kid." Ooh. A single spotlight illuminates the entranceway as a figure standing with their back to the ring. The camera A single spotlight illuminates the entranceway as a figure standing with their back to the ring and the cameras slowly lifts their head and place a Burberry scarf around their neck.
Gary Biscuits.
WWE won the bidding war of 2024. MJF is the final entrant in the Royal Rumble. He goes on to win the match and challenges Roman for the Universal title, telling Reigns that he might have already beaten the best that WWE has to offer, but he hasn't been in the ring with someone like Maxwell Jacob Friedman. The tribal chief dismisses this. He's just like Cody. He ran away from one company to the other because he couldn't get it done. But MJF assures Roman that that's not the case. No. MJF accomplished everything and more in AEW. He did it all. There was nothing left for him. No more goals to aim for at the grand old age of just 28. And that's when his attention turns to Roman Reigns. Since the conversation all over the wrestling landscape was constantly, who's the better heel? Who's a better champion, MJF or Roman Reigns? And that ate away at MJF. After everything he achieved at such a young age, he still has to prove to a bunch of stupid marks why he is the best, why he must be etched into wrestling's Mount Rushmore when the dust is settled. See, MJF knows how Roman thinks. They're a lot alike in some respects, but the only difference is MJF is the one who gets his hands dirty to accomplish what needs to be done. He tells Roman he's been on the other side of the fence. He's been the one at the side of the top guy, the one to betray them in the end to get where he needs to go, planting doubts of seed in Roman's mind about his own family. So Roman not only needs to keep an eye on MJF, but those close to him if he truly wants to be the best in the world. Ultimately, MJF is obviously the one to dethrone Roman Reigns at WrestleMania. He uses mind games to outsmart Roman, pushing Reigns to distance himself from the bloodline out of paranoia. The promos, obviously, between MJF, Roman, and Heyman would be on another level of good. And then you've possibly got a Cody feud to build off that too if you want it. Just a bit I said it's just a bit of a silly pitch. Again, nothing in comparison, Ross.
Woefully
right
unrealistic.
Woefully unrealistic.
That's very realistic. Yeah. Even though I personally believe the bidding war 2024 is just a load of bollocks from MJF.
Yeah.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, I think it'll stay in AEW. That is something I want to see. The prospect of MJF in WWE, just to see if he can keep the things that makes him MJF, is something I want to see play out. Just to see if it happens or not.
Yeah, definitely.
I like the fact that we've all gone for Roman having these big clattering matches. and for someone to beat him that way. Whereas you've gone, actually, here's a guy that can rent an apartment in his head and beat him psychologically.
Yeah.
And there's not many that can do that. So I like the slap that MJF brings to it.
Yeah.
He isn't going to outpunch him, but he's certainly going to, plant
Google his
mind
name and then
games.
find out something that happened when he was a kid.
That man knows how to Google.
I had a picture with him one day, way back in 2008.
Yeah, you saw me at Wet and Wild. I'm going to leave you wild and woolly. MJF. 2023. It's a yes from me as well.
Thank
I
you.
like it.
Thank you.
It's a great way to bring in MJF and make him feel like a star. Like immediately stick him in there with Roman and have him take out Roman. It'd be WWE are always somewhat reluctant historically to go, oh, you're a star somewhere else? Well, here's our biggest toy.
Yeah.
Have a trophy. They've been reluctant to do that, but you know what? No better time to change that mindset than should they win the bidding war of 2024.
Totally. And then MJF can be like, look, Cody, I did it, you didn't, dafty. And then they just have a fight.
Right, all the roller coasters together.
Yeah,
can't we?
that's it.
It's a yes from me.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Right, so my final pitch. I couldn't remember whether we had to have it wrapped up by Mania next year, but I've coloured outside the lines a little bit on this one.
Cheetah!
Biscuits.
Biscuit. It's Sunday night, April the 7th, 2080. It's WrestleMania 96. Live from the Amazon, Google, Tesla, Walker's Hyper Stadium in New San Angeles. You see, Demolition Man was right all along, but there was a moonquake in 2051 that caused it to dissolve, and Earth King Donald Trump Jr. commissioned a new one to be built. By the way, it's called a Hyper Stadium because they used the controversial Isaac Newton Bill Gates imitation gravity rays. That way, people don't have to wear the Earth Nikes to stop them floating off into space. A common problem since Jeff Bezos built a megacity in the Earth's core in 2069 that buggered stuff up.
Nice.
WrestleMania has been downloaded into the production droid's minds, then re-downloaded several more times as the Vince McMahon AI brain that lives on top of the WWE moon base wasn't happy with it. Hot new R&B star Zzz performs the WrestleMania anthem, which is 3 clicks and a minor B tone, which is what music is now. The performance received 8 billion downvotes on social media app Grr, and Zzz immediately announced his own cancellation. The show features some well-received sports entertainment. Rue Lopez, the night that she enters the Hall of Fame, the daughter of Becky Lynch, wins her 42nd Women's Championship to a roaring ovation. However, 12 seconds later, people begin booing, complaining the title reign has already lasted too long. Charlie Dempsey Jr. becomes the first Intercontinental Champion with a brass hand after he famously lost his hand installing an anti-gravity bathroom in his granddad's anti-gravity bungalow. And Steen Owens, with a clone of his father Owen Steen and his grandfather Kevin Owens, watching from the balcony, finally defeats his arch rival Sad Ape, the pioneering wrestling NFT, in a match where the floor was literally lava, owing to the stadium being built near a lava power plant in 2075, which was a terrible idea.
Yeah.
About 19,530 Earth clicks into the event, which is what we call 6 hours now since the time riots in 2071. It was the main event. Out comes Roman Reigns, 94 years old and still on top, being wheeled out by Jimmy and Jay and flanked by 32 additional Uso sons and cousins. Turns out it's not a family, it's a factory. He's hoisted into the ring by the Dyson Ramp Master 9000, and as a hologram of Paul Heyman appears next to him, he is honored by boos being mashed on the crowd's reactortrons. One attempted to throw their receptacle of Amazon Pepsi Cola, but it was shot down in midair by a drone, and said throw was immediately cancelled on all social media. Roman raises his titles aloft. Actually, he raises his hands up, and 2 ugly augmented reality belts are superimposed on the screen. The WWE logo shrunk down to make room for a much larger logo for this year's belt sponsor.
Kevin Dunn's still around.
He's still there. He's still doing it. The logo of this year's belt sponsor, which is fried wasp flavoured M&Ms. We're eating bugs more now since the chicken riots of 2072. Roman Reigns' opponent heads to the ring. As he reaches his mid-90s, Cody Rhodes believes that now, after 15 attempts in the WrestleMania main event, now is the time to finish the story, which is ironic since stories were outlawed in 2077 by Amazon and Google and replaced with emojis. There was going to be story riots in 2073, but because we hadn't quite got used to the new clocks following the aforementioned time riots, nobody turned up. Cody is helped down to the ramp by his 5 children, all called Dusty, his 10 grandchildren, also all called Dusty, and Pharaoh, a gift presented to Cody by the Jim Henson Muppet wing of Boston Dynamics. $1 billion worth of pyro goes off, and both Cody and Roman jump out of their skin. Cody waves his hand at a production droid, grumbling, "Bloody kids, keep the noise down." Roman takes the microphone to address the 250,000 humans and others in attendance and gives us his famous catchphrase, "Dear God, please somebody take the belt off me. I am so tired." Roman takes his cod liver oil tablets, and Cody has a quick wee before the bell sounds, and we're underway with the main event of WrestleMania 96. The Michael Cole and Taz AI commentators, lifted from a copy of SmackDown Just Bring It that was found in a landfill, tell the story. "This singles match is great," says Taz. They lock up, and Roman applies a headlock. He takes Cody to the floor, keeping his head trapped in the sleeper. This was a tactical error by the 90-year-old Roman Reigns, who missed his midday nap. Both he and Cody simultaneously fall asleep in the center of the ring. The referee wakes them up by throwing Werther's Originals directly at their faces, the toffee aroma finally stirring the tribal chief, who pulls Cody to his feet and knocks him down with a Peacemaker 3 punch. This is the Superman punch, but of course, as we know, it was changed per a deal to bring John Cena in for WrestleMania 76 to promote Peacemaker 3. He ended up filming a commercial for Amazon Google woke cat food instead and didn't turn up. But the contract for the name change was watertight, and WWE had already printed 10 million "I just got the Peacemaker 3 punch by Roman Reigns" t-shirts. So what can you do? Roman sighed and prepared to pin the unconscious Cody again.
No.
But was distracted by a production droid entering the ring holding a piece of paper. Roman fumbled in each of his pockets, all 6 of them, for his reading glasses and placed them over his nose. The paper in dot matrix print was a message from the McMahon AI brain that we mentioned on the moon base earlier. Simply said, "Changed my mind, Cody wins, lol." A tear rolled from Roman's eye. His watch had finally ended. He lay down on the canvas and placed Cody's arm over him. The Alexa referee registered a pinfall event and counted 346 nanoclicks, which is 3 seconds in old time. And Cody Rhodes was declared the new, undisputed WWE Universal Champion with M&Ms. Cody's family lifted the patriarch to his feet as Downstate Kingdom played in all the audience's minds via the orb, that new invention that's in your head that we can't turn off. The story had ended and Cody was the champion. 90 years of chasing, and finally Cody had achieved his dream. Anyway, Charlie Dempsey Jr. and his wire transfer had accidentally fell out of the ringside area. Charlie Dempsey Jr. then wire transferred his Bitcoin in the wallet memory stick that guaranteed him a title shot when and where he wanted it. He punched Cody with his brass hand and won the belt at the end.
You are going to look fantastic when this actually happens.
I was
If
going
you're
to
sat
say.
there, what year would this be?
This would be 2080.
If this is being aired in 2080, wow.
When Charlie Dempsey Jr. wins the title with his brass hand.
I was thinking it's going to be like a Simpsons episode, isn't it? You know, where they always go back and go, "Oh my God, the
That got
Simpsons
proven
just
right
do
again
it."
this week, didn't it?
Did
With
it?
The Barbie movie and Trump getting arrested.
No
Happening.
way.
They predicted that in the same
Really?
segment as well, yeah.
Oh,
But they
I
didn't
feel
break
like.
Charlie Dempsey Jr.'s brass hand.
Well, that's because you've done it now for everybody
We've
instead.
done it. What do you reckon?
There's
Delightful.
just one thing missing. Ric Flair. One more retirement match. Just to round off the ensemble.
If I have Ric Flair walk out and go, "Come on, Junior, I got all day."
That's what we're taking over the edge. It's a yes
I
from
love.
me.
Oh my God! If Ric Flair came back, but he was just like, like nothing about Ric Flair has changed. He's still just Ric Flair. Like he's got none of these implants, none of this stuff. He's
Ric
just
Flair's
Ric Flair.
last match, 38.
Ready to go. The creativity on display there, Tom, was on another level. I feel like I've let the team down.
Oh, no way.
Sandwiched
No,
between
Andrew,
two.
you've done the video right.
No,
me and Tom.
I haven't.
Yeah,
I haven't.
People will be delighted with yours.
Sandwiched between two fantastic
They'd be livid
pitches
with that.
right there. Delightful, Tom. It's a yes from me.
Come
I can't say no to that
on.
one.
So a lot of yeses all round for 9
Yeah.
pitches.
Yeah.
A friendly table.
It's been a friendly table discussing the head of the table. We'd love to know what your thoughts are. What was your favourite? Which one made you sad? Or do you have any better options? Do you? Got anything better to say? Let us know in the comments down there. For Ross Tweddell, for Andrew Hodkinson, for myself, Tom Campbell. Jack, we'll see you at the next one. How do you end it? It's what we want.
Goodbye, everybody.
Bye.
Love you, bye.